Okay, now I'm going to finish off the last three. So here, a is 4. I'll just write it up here. You don't have to write this. A is 4, b is negative 24, and c is 36. Okay, let's now write our formula. X equals negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so let's keep going here. So negative b here, so it's negative 24 plus minus the square root, so b squared is, we'll scroll down, minus 24 squared, so minus 24 squared minus 4 times 36 all over 2 times 4. So here the negative and negative's 24. The bottom here, so the bottom here is 8. 2 times 4 is 8. And the plus minus, so we go plus minus here. It's going to be plus minus. Oh, it turned out to be 0. Interesting. Let's just go back up. Let's look at this over here. Look at this. 4x squared and 36. Well, that's like, you can probably use factoring here. So that's like 2x minus 6. These are both perfect squares. See, the perfect squares, one that's a perfect square, leads to a 0 showing up here and only having one answer. So now if we continue, so this only works for perfect squares, and this was a perfect square. So you get 24 over 8, extend, and 24 divided by 8, can use our calculator, is 3. Okay, now we only have one answer here, so if we go back up here, it's a perfect square, that's why. Okay, let's see if it's right. Let's check it. So we're going to check this one, so let's do a check. So we're just going to sub into the equation here. So our initial equation is 4x squared minus 24x plus 36 equals 0. So we're going to put the 3 in. 3 squared minus 24 times 3 plus 36 equals 0. And let's go to our calculator. So switch over to my calculator, which has gone somewhere, but we'll open it again here. So we'll stop and we'll replay. So we'll bring it back up. We'll minimize that. So on. So we go 4 bracket 3 to the power of 2, subtract 24 bracket 3 plus 36. And we enter. Oh, we get 0. So 0 equals 0. Okay, pretty good. Okay, now we're going to continue on to the next question. Okay, so over here, oh, it's not equal to 0. So what do? Well, you got to bring the numbers across. Okay, if you didn't know that, you do that first, and now you solve. So now you guys can go and solve this one. Okay, you can pause it and come back. Now, if you weren't sure, a is equal to 1 because there's nothing in front of the x squared. B is negative 5. C is 15. Okay, then we plug into our formula here. So, I'll extend the page a few times so it'll be easier. Okay, so over here we got x equaling negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Here negative b is negative 5 plus minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times 15. I'm just subbing in the numbers above. All over 2 times 1. Okay, I'll just scroll down here so you can see what I put. I just put the numbers in. Okay, I'm going to keep going here. So negative is 5 plus minus. Oh no, I go to my calculator here. So watch what happens here. I go to my calculator. Okay, and I go, hey, negative 5 squared. So I put negative 5. Okay, squared minus 4 times 1 times 15. I get negative 35 in here. You can't do anymore. You're done. You can't take the square root of negative 35. So in this particular case, there's no answer. There's no answer. Well, how do we know when there's no answer? Usually when these two numbers, so if A and C is positive and they're really large, larger than B, that's when you get no answer. So for example, if A was really large and C, so here C and A are very large, and this number between smaller and you square it and then you subtract two positive bigger numbers, that's when you get a negative in here. So this one has no answers. Okay. Let's go to the last one. Okay, so first we have to make it equal to 0. So we'll go 2x squared plus 4x. We bring the other 4x to this side, 4x here, plus 5 minus 2 equals 0. So we just brought these two numbers here, brought them to the other side and changed the signs. Now I get 2x squared plus 8x plus 3 equals 0. Okay, now if you want to pause and solve it from here, you can. So you can pause it and then you can solve it from right there. Okay, let's go back up and I will now solve it. Okay, so I'm going to go right to the formula. I know this, I know that's A, I know that's B, I know that's C. I'm just going to jump right to the formula. X equals negative B plus minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2a. I always write the formula in my answer every single time. Okay, and then I put negative 8 plus minus the square root of 8 squared, and you could put it in a bracket just in case it's a negative in a different question, minus 4 times 2 times 3. Okay, all over 2, and our a is 2. We're going to keep going. We know that's negative 8. That and this, I'm going to figure all that out in the calculator. This is over 4. So I punch it in my calculator, click, 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 and I get 40 here. Okay. Now I take the square root of 40. So I get negative 8 plus minus 6.324. The more decimals you keep, the more accurate it is. All over 4. I'm going to split it up into the 2 here. So here I'm going to get negative 8 plus 6.324 over 4, or I get negative 8 minus 6.324 all over 4. Okay, and then I figure these out separately using my calculator, and I get this one to be negative 0.42, or this one to be negative 3.58. Okay, so I know I did the last few quicker than the first one, so you can always go back to the first two that I did in the first video to get a slower version of them. I want you to do question 8, and there's like 8 of them to do. So I want you to practice all 8. There are answers at the very bottom. Okay, so the answers at the very end to see if you're doing it right.